On one side, you can say there are challenges, scaling up, this, that. It's one side of the story. But when you have that team, that keeps you afloat. So when you have your self-doubts and everything, right, you think, I'm not alone. I can't quit God.
If a customer is actually paying 100, we actually deliver 150. Who would be your dream guest on that talk show?
That's a tough one, actually. Actually, now when you think about it, what you were doing back then was, really, really inspiring. Start acknowledging it, and again, you have to figure out a way, right? Work around that way. Don't get into that at this point in time. Deliver.
To shift the focus of discussion to our core differentiator, which is one we call ourselves a data and analytics firm, which is again a unique differentiator because the business world as such outside says data analytics. We are into data analytics. So I think that is one differentiator that we have. We are data and analytics. And the second part is, why did we actually focus in the core domain of the BFSI sector? I think these are the two very important, the marriage between these two. It would be great if you could throw some light on this.
When initially when we started this LUMIQ journey, right, something was happening in the big data space. This is the time when Shoaib had come back from US, right? He had a stint with Cisco, NASA, all that was happening, and big data was coming. Everybody was talking about big data, right? But then it was not yet clear what it is. So Google was there, right? And the search was already established as something we were embracing. What we knew was, okay, this speed is how, like I said, whatever the business is trying to do resides in a business process, and behind it is the data. If you are able to get the right insights from the data, you could change the outcome. Right? And why so with so much confidence is because in our previous avatar, when we were in our first startup, we built, this whole merchandising system, which ran for the NTUC fair price, which is like back then was $1 billion retailer in Singapore, right? For them, they had a convenience store chain called Cheers. So Cheers' whole merchandising was running on system, right? Which we had built from scratch, right? So one thing we realized is even if you want to place an order fast, you need to know, who's the preferred supplier beforehand, at time it will take, and which SKU was at what level and everything. So we were at that operational stage that, and Shoaib of course being sure, right? So like to do something, and he was figuring out, right? And then when he came back after his stint in US, and while I was doing consulting across the globe, this idea started emerging that this is the area. And that's how data came into play, right? Now, what was our strength? Delivery. Enterprises, we've not worked with, we're not B2C guys in that sense, right? We understood that, businesses work in a separate way, large enterprises operate in a separate way. And that's how we got into data. Lucky to get, one of the early customers, which was a Fortune 500 utilities company. And then we built something which was actually, now when you think about it, what you were doing back then was really, really inspiring. And for the techies who understand, we built a unsupervised learning, real-time unsupervised learning platform, which could accept data on the fly, process it on the fly, and in real time. When even back and micro batch was not being talked about, right? And, we built that. Cloud was just coming up. We were like literally born in the cloud in that sense, right? Yes. So all that thing was happening. That got, this thing excited into us because, okay, it was changing the way things were, because back then the technology around data was not great, right? And data analytics was still, that was there. But so we decided that, we want to do something in this big data analytics, which in our mind now, if I map it, we were talking about data science, right? That all these things can be done, and a lot of open source that was happening. That's all right. So we were a horizontal tech company at that point. Then, FSI happened about 3 years later. Okay. So what we started realizing is that in order to Because again, that because business is not looking at tech that way, right? As techies, we get excited and it's all right.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's that joy of creation that you get when something does what it's supposed to do and it does it nicely, right? That's how. And then, when we realize is, okay, in order to have a scalable model and a referenceable model, when you're working in an innovative area, it helps to work with a line of business. So when you're working with financial services, right, you take one use case, you build, and then it becomes easy to replicate. Again, think of it this way, right? We place so much emphasis on understanding the business. You cannot understand, 20 years of, 20 different industries at the same time. That's how the focus, though both of us had almost a decade of experience in supply chain and retail specifically, right? But then financial service, because we realized this is where innovation is happening. Insurance was trying to go on cloud for the first time, and that traction had started. Cloud was mature. That's how we got into it. And then, this replicability, and then it's a closed group. So it was a tightly stitched GTM strategy to go after an industry. And that's how FSI happened about 7 years back. So we went into life insurance, then we went into, as banks opened up, then as asset management companies started operating. Now I think securities is where we are heading next. And then, of course, there are adjoining areas which will pick up. But the focus is on, to have that replicability, and more importantly, for the whole team also to understand. See, today, I'm very sure that you talk to anybody in LUMIQ down to the last person who's actually writing the code. You ask them questions: what is a claim? What is a policy? They'll give answer. So we will never build a software, which we don't understand what business value it creates. I think in order to carry that, it was very critical to limit it to an industry, so that as an organization we all imbibe that industry. That has been the reason why we have been in FSI until now. And of course, it's an opportunity of decent size. Does it stop? I think the other part of the question which I often get asked is, does it stop us from replicating it in other industries? It's just that we'll have to make a conscious choice and start on that journey. And there are small nuggets of experimentation that we keep on doing. And of course, like I said, retail, 10 years I have. And then Shoaib also has experience, and we work in utilities also. So it will be a conscious call when we move out, and that's how we play out. That's how data and analytics and FSI.
And it's a fascinating exposition of how this journey unfolded, and I particularly think that as we move forward, and the three main areas which will always sustain in the coming maybe till let's say 2050 or so would probably be the transformation in the automobile industry, which moves from fossil fuels to other alternate areas. Of course, then renewable energy, which is the second, and third, the evergreen, which actually focuses the whole world and brings them together as economy and commerce. And therefore, I think we are in one of the three sustainable areas that are never going to lose relevance. So thank you, Dobi. That was really nice to bring us to why focusing on the FSI sector. One important thing which I think stands out in LUMIQ, and I've heard it in many of our conversations, is that if a customer is actually paying 100, we actually deliver 150. That is the kind of passion for the customer that we have. And, I think customer centricity and customer happiness and customer satisfaction are, I think these are three core qualities which we try and imbibe right from the person who joins LUMIQ initially and the people who always been there. We keep talking about this. So could you throw some light on this particular aspect as to how exactly do we achieve this customer satisfaction and we leave a happy, smiling customer every time, and they don't want to leave us. I understand that once somebody gets connected to LUMIQ, very, very difficult to part ways with us.
Traditionally, you have a customer team. Because, see, who's a customer? A customer is an entity which exists, but you are actually working people on behalf of a customer. Similarly, if you look on the LUMIQ side, LUMIQ is a team that is working.
Yes.
And then there is actual this mention of LUMIQ. So it's an entity in itself. Similarly, whoever is a customer, there is an entity behind those people. A lot of time, what happens is that the way the teams are operating, right, they are not synced up in terms of what they want to achieve. Very honest, right? So there is focus on revenue, there is focus on outcomes, right? But at the end of it, what happens is a partner or a vendor is trying to secure their revenue, whereas the customer is trying to move some other way.
Right.
People have been talking for 15 years about partnership. So what is the secret to it? I think in my mind, the easiest way is start thinking yourself, right? So when I go in this meeting, I don't go in as somebody from LUMIQ. I consider myself as somebody who's with the customer. When you are with the customer, right, when you have that kind of a hat on, right, what you get to know is, I think you have that why, right? So you question what would it take to move it from their side, from LUMIQ side, from everyone's side. So that brings that unison, because now your goal is to primarily, solve that business problem that you're solving, right? Because otherwise it could be two different problems that you can't take, or you can't have two captains on the same boat. Right? So once you think, right, so the customer is gone, you is gone, right? So when you're thinking is, okay, we are all trying to solve a problem. Now the other click, it's all rosy, right, when you speak about it like that. But on ground, the reality is, now you're working with people. People will have their own dynamics, right? Sometimes, you get into also situations where people on either side, right, they are not representing for various reasons, right? It could be a hindsight, it could be a pressure, it could be individual personality, it could be anything, right? Humans are complex, right? But then what you realize is, hey, it's not aligning with the end goal, right? So you have to, start acknowledging it, and again, you have to figure out a way, right? Work around that way. Don't get into that at this point in time. Deliver first. Because once you deliver, right, then you have a platform to speak.
Correct.
Right? So don't get into that cycle of giving feedback, trying to change the world. You can't, theoretically you can change wheels in a formula. Earlier it was like you can't do it. But then the point is why, right? So you deliver, work around that situation, and always remember, there is no point confronting this. If you keep an eye on the end goal, right, you're able to deliver. So once you take away that customer itself, and when you forget that we are two different teams, start working with the same goal, eventually, and deliver. Once you start making deliveries, everything changes. See, it's like that. I shouldn't use that example, but it's a common thing. Few years back when we were growing up, we heard that, I read that actually in the newspaper, that a cop got awarded for being on duty every day on time for I don't know how many years. So that's the world where software operated for years together. If you deliver, you are out of that world. Now you've established yourself. You've established that your intent is to deliver. Now once you have delivered, the work speaks for itself, and you get a platform, and then you will bring in those changes. On your side, on customer side, have we been able to do it every time? No, but we've always got an audience, right? And when you show that intent, not just theoretically, but after delivering, right, we have seen many changes. We have been really successful with customers in this model. And I believe you'll find it's applicable across, right? Understand. And that's why that business understanding is important. Otherwise, we're just talking about tech. Tech is just an enabler. We get excited as tech users, because then you can prioritize, then you can think, then you can empathize, then your all concepts of design thinking, blah, 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 blah. But boils down to the fact that what is it that we are trying to solve? It's not the individual, it's the business we are serving, and these are not to put them together in one box. Sometimes people understand, sometimes people don't understand. That's where, as leaders, you need to come in and gel that, right? That's how it works. Once you're able to solve that problem, once you're able to deliver things, that's how I think we get separated from the challenge.
Yes, I think this is the secret sauce for customer satisfaction. First of all, if it's a football field and there's a half line, half is yours, half is mine, you just clear up that line and make it just one field.
That's the same goal.
Yeah.
You're not two.
And there are no two goals, and put goal on only one side. And second, of course, I guess
there are no teams, it's just one team.
Yes, and there's just one team, you're not playing against anybody else. So I think things fall into place. Yeah.
If I'll add one more thing. At the end of it, customers don't want you to starve. See, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? The problem is, again, the wheat and the chaff can't be separated easily. But if the customers also want to work with people to deliver, even as individuals, right? We all pay and we expect service, right? So it's very basic. Nobody wants you to starve. I think sometimes, again, humans, no, we look at things differently. But the moment you have this kind of a framework in your mind, no, then it becomes so. You need to align with teams regularly. Sometimes you share with customers. But what I realized is, once you deliver, think with the audience. Don't try to change the world before you deliver.
True.
And even if it's a struggle to deliver, please don't compromise on that. Just deliver, because then people know, okay, what you are saying actually works.
Yeah, I think we should have almost. I'm not sure whether this is the right word or not, but I think we should have a fanatic focus on delivery and
Delivery milestone, two correct.
delivery and
Business value, number one, how to deliver, what is required to generate that business value. Number two, milestones, because they bring that element of time, because everything has an essence, right? Put those things together.
yeah, I think somewhere it's written also that a goal is a dream with a timeline. So every milestone, I guess you achieve, you get a sense of satisfaction. And I think one more very important element, Dobi, which you mentioned, was when there are two people, they will have their own, personalities. They'll have their own points of view. They'll have their own characteristics. They'll have their strengths. They'll have their weaknesses. And I guess teams which are able to draw on each other's strengths and support each other's weaknesses, I think it's a winning team. So that's great. So it's been really wonderful talking to you about such a wide spectrum of your journey thus far. I think I want to take you to one last question before we go into a rapid fire round. And that is, was there a time in these 10 years where you felt, boss, this is not working out? And I'm at the Neanderthal of, you're sitting in the war room and you're actually thinking, guys, we need to really change strategy. Otherwise, this is not happening. And then you focused on that challenge, and how did you actually come out? I think a lot of our viewers and listeners would be interested in an anecdotal experience of that particular time when you felt key. This is a make or a break time in our history. So it'd be wonderful to hear about that particular part.
I think we are the only part of the family tree which is out of that, right? And knowledgeable, and then when you see the means that we had, right? So having financial security was of utmost important, right? And when you do engineering, when you get associated with like IIT and everything, right? There is a thought process in everyone's mind that now it will be late. And then why do we study, right? So, and I was, okay, I'll not say I was an outlier, I made shitloads of money, but it was decent. For a single guy, on a day I had 7,000 euros in my pocket and I went to buy a Rolex, okay? So that day the shop was closed, otherwise I would have to that be one of the most regrettable decisions of my life. Not that I would have invested, I invested that, but whatever, right? So just give you back. Really honored and privileged to that. Then, an early part of your career, you stay abroad for a long period of times and that lifestyle and everything, right? Then when you come back, right? And I'm talking about, the period when you started, right? Get into that point of uncertainty. So my daughter was on her way, and we had quit her job. We relocated from Malaysia to India. We had all relocated. We were here, and living 3 kilometers from here. Our monthly expenses were like, we had come from that lifestyle, right? Our monthly expenses were like way 3 times, 4 times of what we were doing as this thing. So, suddenly from earning that high salary, you were in a zone where not only this month's salary, you're not sure for next month's salary also. We still have a joke that, if we got whatever funds in or on the day, we would go and eat jalebi and samosas. That was our way of celebrating, right? So, and that continued for years together, right? So there is expectation from the family, and they think you're half crazy, right? Because you don't know what you're doing. And today somebody asked me what is your thought process, and to be honest, I say I'm not tangible, right? So very, very confusing time. And there were many occasions where we were struggling, and that continued as okay. When we were a small setup, it was okay because see, it's like this. Not only you didn't get salary, but whatever money you had, you transferred it to company's account to pay salaries, right? So I would call up Vidhi, and she was like, "Hey, Andreas, how much money do you have in your account?" So she understood it meant two things. One is she needs to pay. Second is to salary just come in. So that went on, So 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs of annual income, not paying taxes.
Wow.
Right? And you move in from when you lived abroad, and I gave you the example of how I was spending money. Yeah, it's so much this thing. So there are many occasions when you were so hard pressed and you thought, it's not working out financially, your passion and everything is on one side, you question something. There were many such occasions. And then there were two things, specifically, there were two ideas which we pursued, we didn't work out. And we invested heavily in terms of UX resources, time, everything. So, there were many momentous occasions where, so it's not working. But the beauty of it is, and what I usually do, when you have such a strong this thing on your mind, you shut down, go. Keep it off. Next morning, you're again full of energy, right? We'll figure out of it. And that's what Shurab usually says. We are late to the party every time. But there is a plan. Everything works. There is a plan. You just pursue. You go through that tough patch because it's usually hours or days, right? You just go over it. And that's how there are many occasions when you thought. I think what you circle back is your belief, right? Your trust. And that's your, we'll figure out. And that's something, many occasions. You always come back to the idea. If it was a job, if it was really a job, now when I look at people, what would be 20 switches I would have made in last 10 years?
No, I think from your answer and the conversation that we're having, I think the key word that I would really catch on is belief. And I'm just reading this book on habits. I keep a book with me and I keep trying to see. I can't read it as fast as Shoaib does, but definitely, I keep scrolling through pages. And one of the very key elements in that book was about belief. So if you believe in something to an extent where it starts driving your persona, then you look at those problems as another opportunity to do something better, to do, probably take a rain check, re-strategize and overcome it. So Dobi, it's been wonderful, and
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Now while you were speaking, I think there's one more thing that happens. When you have a team, right? So I'm from hills, right? And I get fascinated. So when you go on a mountain, right? There's a rope. That rope ties you, right? So when you fall or when another person falls, it doesn't let the other person fall.
Yes.
Right? That's another thing that keeps you afloat. You're working with somebody like Shoaib, right? And when you're working with the extended team, what happens is, right? When you are in their down moment, right? When you look around, how much search here? Why not go there? We have to figure out some way, right? Let's think, okay. As your team keeps you afloat.
Yeah.
Right? And as your caravan has more and more people, on one side you can say there are challenges, scaling up, this, that. It's one side of the story. But when you have that team, that keeps you afloat. So when you have your self-doubts and everything, right, you think, I'm not alone. I can't quit, boss. There are people who are ready in this belief, right? When you have your doubt of uncertainty, you sometimes think, no, it's not just me. It's a whole thing that needs to move. It's like, you are from Navy, right? If you have a flotilla and one ship goes down, both the whole flotilla is at risk, right? So you can't be you have that in you coming back to you that I can't be the weakest link on this, right? And everything depends on. So that's how it comes together, right? So
Yeah, I'm glad you added this part because I think belief was one. The second part is that all for one and one for all. That team thing. You just get that feeling that I can't let these guys down, and that probably drives you to doing crazy stuff, and ultimately the team takes power from you sometimes. Sometimes you lean on them, and that's how victory comes. So I guess, Dobi, it's been a wonderful, wonderful morning today, well spent. Uh, and I really enjoyed listening to all the nuggets and all the recalls of anecdotes that you probably synthesized into 2 hours. I know it's very difficult to take everything into a 2 hour window, but uh, I guess these are the main thoughts which keep revolving in your mind, and I think most of our viewers and listeners will really be energized by our conversation today. So now we're going to a very interesting round, and our the marketing team, they're full of young, bubbly people, and they wanted me to ask you certain rapid fire questions. So if you're ready for it, I can roll them out one by one. Okay. So Dobi, I hope you prepared for this rapid fire round, and
I've always rebelled with it.
correct. So I'm coming from a land of machine guns, and rapid fire means really rapid. If you're talking about like 100 rounds a minute, but of course I'm not going to do that to you. So the first question, Dobi, a quote that guides you.
It's one of very tough questions, okay? But there are two things that you'll often hear me saying. One is this too shall pass. When I read it for the first time, I was like, okay, how can somebody write such a profound thing in like 4 or 5 ways? I was reading one of the Zen books long time back. I was like, this just stuck. Good time, bad time, this too shall pass. But there's another quote that I must mention because, again, when I read it for the first time, it just shook me. What it said is, there's a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Yeah.
Robert M. Pirsig, right? And you open that book, right? It says, and what is good fitness, what is not good. Need we ask anyone to tell us these things?
Wow.
Right? So I may have missed the exact sequence of the words, but that's one of those things which just stays with you, right? And what is good fitness and what is not good. Need we ask anyone to tell us these things? Fitness is a worst, whatever. But I think the second part of the book is very important, right? Need we ask anyone to tell us what is good or not? We all know.
Great. Thanks. Those are very interesting quotes. And how about if you have to recommend a must-read book, which one would you recommend?
So, again, two books, right? One I already talked about, Robert M. Pirsig. It says Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. The tagline is an inquiry into values, right? So that's one. And the second one is, of course, Shoe Dog.
Feel nice.
The story of Nike. Oh, it's so. I have had my goosebumps and moments and everything. It's phenomenal. It's storytelling at its best, and it's Nike's lifestyle is very, very interesting. You that book.
I guess any entrepreneur should use that book as a Bible, I guess. And viewers, I can tell you, if you've not read it, get a copy of it. Everyone who joins LUMIQ gets a copy, and all those who are enthused by this, you must go through.
The first one is very tricky, by the way. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance is a very tough book to
read.
Yeah, when I read it once, then I read it over 2 years, then I read it again, and that book is.
It must be like one of the Iron Man series, which takes 2-3
Yes,
years.
it's one of those books that you quote for literature and it's a part of curriculum. So there was a good tab in this.
Great, great. So thanks. So you finished your quote, which guides you. We found out which of the books he likes. This one is a very super question. Now it's basically that if you were in a band, like a rock band, what do you think would be its name?
Innovators Rhythm.
Innovators Rhythm. That's quite catchy, I must say. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay. The next one is if you had a talk show called Dobi's Talk Show, and who would be your dream guest on that talk show?
That's a tough one, actually. Maybe Arivata.
Wow. We'll have to go.
Basically, yeah. I mean, see, that was the time when there weren't many things, right? So, be it Nagarjuna, be it Arivata, all those guys, they came on Leonardo da Vinci for that matter, right? Either they were superhumans or aliens, or they had a framework which was way ahead of time. Or do you understand how they operated back in that time? Yeah, access to internet. I was doing nothing, right? And then those guys were, I will not even call them geniuses, they were superhumans. They were aliens. Maybe they had access to Google back then.
I don't know, but seriously, I mean, come to think of it, if somehow science could, develop to such an extent that we could recall these people who actually changed the history of the earth and mankind.
Zero, right? You look at zero. How? It's not an idea, it's a synthesis of this thing, right? So, I mean, I want to go back and I don't know whether I can ask them questions or maybe I'll sit on their feet and what I will do. Or maybe I'll be like, just zap. What years that would be?
Very interesting. I was expecting such kind of answers from you. You've proved me right by your choice of dream guests. Okay, now this one is also very interesting. Agreed, we are in a startup. Yeah, we were startup. We are 10 years old. We're not young startup. Yeah, we start with a mature startup. These kind of questions and answers keep happening. Many times my own friends ask me, so I have to answer very carefully. Like, look, we are not a startup, but actually we are a startup. We behave like a startup, but are we one? Let's leave that aside. And forget the idea about the BFSI industry. If there was another startup idea which you had and then you wished or it has been taken up by somebody else and you wish it was yours. So that'd be a very nice, insight.
If given an option to start all over again, right? Or, some idea, you will do something with young kids, right? Or maybe something around linking them back to the things which are not so much valuable. For example, if you are from the art trend, people are not reading so much. Right? Can we do those small animation stories so that we can explore? Because see, if you are from, I'll use an example, if you are from Uttarakhand, if you are from the hills, and if you have not read Shivani, if you have not experienced Manoj Shabdoshi, you are missing out a lot of in your life. So take those, convert them into a medium, just expose them. Don't preach them, don't teach them. Just expose them, right? It could be small nuggets, it could be small, this thing in a medium in which they appreciate. Yeah, in the big, right? And then storytelling around it. It's a very difficult thing, but then expose them. I will work on with these young ones and expose them to these ideas. It could be, something that's not many people are trying it, and it's very hard to feel good. But that's what I would want to do.
Very, very interesting. And we in India have something called as the demographic dividend. I'm sure the way our country is moving forward, LUMIQ is playing a very vital role in that, in our own small little way. But you're right. I guess it's our youth and the young generation which is the strength of. In fact, LUMIQ is actually a microcosm of India if you really see it. When I speak to our LUMIQers every other day, when I listen to their stories as to where they've come from, what their fathers and mothers have gone through to have those children here, sometimes I just look at them in amazement to see that within 23 years or they're 24 years old, from where, which village, which small kasbah, they have come from to reach heaven of data and technology today. So inspiring stories indeed. So this is the last question. I promise you, it's been a extensive discussion between us both. Again, Young T has brought this question together. Before you retire, okay, I'm not sure that this can be a short answer, but before you retire, they think that you should retire or you should not retire. I'm not commenting on that. What more do you want to achieve?
Wow. But then now, if I were to really look, I mean, it's one of those questions. When you think about legacy and stuff like that, or doesn't really, that's how I put it in that hitting. Not really sure if I'm uh, able to answer that question in its true spirit. But see, the way I look at it is, the idea of LUMIQ is to be a platform. Right? If even if there is one person, right, genuinely believes that it was able to create that platform that we promised for them, then that would be great, right? And what is that platform? The platform is something like you mentioned, right? If they get up in the morning and they are motivated to come, blossom there, not work, and spend their time, do something, and they have that that idea in their mind that it was a beautiful day, not just today, but when they look back at it also, that would be awesome, right? Because those are the memories I carry and I cherish from my age. It's a very difficult thing to do, but yeah, then it's all about it. Well, not retired. That's not happening unless.
Fantastic. I expected nothing less than an answer from that, because if you have an entrepreneurial streak in you, you will never retire. You'll keep doing something in your life.
I have a list of ideas, like cafe, go to the hills, to the
Wood-fired pizzas.
No, I'm not so much of yeah, but something I don't know. Many ideas. Yeah. I'm not retired.
I do hope that you're able to convert them into reality. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the first edition of Beyond the Business in our leadership conversations. And I had a wonderful time talking to Dobi and, getting insights into the way he thinks, what his views are about business, tech, future, past, history, where he came from, and, really, really interesting. I really enjoyed talking to you, Dobi. Thank you so much for taking out time for this. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners are equally enthused by the wonderful journey that you've had. I can only wish you, our team members and our company, lots of success in future. Lots of customer satisfaction, team building, mentoring, and growth. So thanks a lot, everyone, for being with us. And I would like to formally shake you and thank you. Shake your hand and thank you, sorry. So goodbye.
Don't shake me.
All the best.
It was a pleasure, Nitin, because we talk about decade of pain. Right? I think when we were cutting the cake for the dinner, I also said the same. You don't realize how long you have been on the journey if you are enjoying that journey. So somebody told me on a trek, right? I was shit tired and I would sit down and take a break and everything. And this guy told me, he's a law friend, right? He said, just take one step, right? So it's been like that. And when you're having a conversation like this, right? Candidly asking questions, you think back. I think you relive those failures, your learning, what went by, and that's really a nice warm feeling, right? It's like that blanket on a cold night when you slip into after you have gotten soaked in the rain and on a hill station, right? So that's what this conversation has been. I'm hoping it was useful, for people, for whoever is hearing and watching this. But yeah, I really liked it and I really enjoyed it. And thank you. And of course, people behind who are orchestrating it, my marketing team. It's a good idea and it's a good crisp I don't know. It was crisp or not. Interestingly, UMIQ is also got crispinality. Yes. Yeah. That's the equity that we have. But yes, wow, I'm really energized by this conversation. Right.
Same here. Really nice. So thank you, everyone,
Thank
and wish you a great week ahead.
you.